Welcome back, everybody. We've got episode 7 of the Vision Board podcast. I'm Tristan Cannell. I've got Johnny Stofko with me. Johnny.
What's up, guys? Let's do this. Feeling great.
Yeah, hell yeah. Thanks, guys, for tuning in for the first 6 episodes. I hope you enjoyed the last one with Dane. That was awesome to have him on. He's so informative, Johnny.
Yeah, learned a lot from Dane Hudson. Call him a friend. He's definitely my go-to guy, all things nutrition, and just any general advice on, looking to do something new. Change the game.
Now, guys, just before we get started, if you could just jump on iTunes, leave us an iTunes review, that would be much appreciated, because that will just help us to bring on bigger and better guests, because every single time we come, we want to bring it for you guys and bring it for the people you love, people that can inspire you, and something that you can get out of it.
A 5-star review, that is. So, yeah, give us a little bit of support and love. We appreciate all of our listeners and followers who we get to see on a daily basis. For the ones we haven't met yet, we appreciate it, and we're just going to get better, too. So, thank you.
Now, boys and girls, we've got a special guest today. We've got 3-time world boxing champion, Jeff Fenech. But before we get to the champ, we've got our awesome sponsors, The Organic Trainer and Jack Rabbit Slim's Barbershop.
Happy holidays, guys. Go to the Organic Trainer's website at www.theorganictrainer.com. They got some great gifts. You'll find some great teas, some exercise teas, a sleep tea, which is really exceptional. When you're proceeding to the checkout, type in The Fit Coach to receive 10% off all of your purchases. Our second sponsor is Jack Rabbit Slim's Barbershop. If you're living in the Sydney area, Potts Point, Kings Cross, please call and set an appointment up with Dre, and he'll get you feeling good, feeling focused, feeling ready, leave you on your way feeling satisfied. So let's rock and roll.
The Vision Board Podcast, hosted by Johnny Stofko and Tristan Cannell.
Vision Board Podcast is proud to bring on the Marrickville Mauler, Australia's 3-time boxing world champion, winning titles at the bantamweight, super bantamweight and featherweight division. He's also a renowned boxing trainer over the years, training the likes of Mike Tyson, Danny Green, Daniel Geale, Vic Darchynian and Lucas Brown. Welcome, Jeff Fenech. How are you, Jeff?
Yeah, thank you very much. Great, thank you. Very, very well, thank you.
Great, mate. It's great to have you on. Now, it's now pretty well documented, mate, that you had a pretty troubled youth. Can you tell the listeners about how you got into boxing, man?
Yeah, well, I mean, like I said, where I grew up and lived, it was predominantly lots of Aboriginals, lots of, people who'd come from overseas, and, I just tried to have what everybody else had. My father never worked a day of his life. My dad was sick all his life. Passed away at a young age in his 50s and from heart problems. My mum worked 3 jobs. So, I just wanted to be normal and try and live the most normal life I could. It meant me, getting in a bit of trouble and doing the best I could. I'd done that, and I don't regret that one bit. But all an experience, and it made me a better person growing up.
Awesome, man. You're also trained by legendary coach Johnny Lewis. He was probably one of your main mentors as you progressed. Would you say?
Without doubt, I wouldn't have done what I've done without Johnny Lewis. And he was an amazing human to be around back then. He was somebody who was very, very smart. He would tell you about achieving goals, and most definitely he would make sure that he knew you could achieve something that he put in front of you, and you just learned to achieve, and you wanted more and more. So without doubt, without Johnny Lewis, I do believe that things could have been different, but I also believe that as I've grown and learned as a boxing trainer, as a mentor and as a human, as a motivator, maybe second to none, but as a boxing trainer, I think that there are many, many better trainers out there.
Yeah, awesome. Jeff, so I have a question for you. You won a belt, you won a world championship at a fairly young age, and you're in a sport, you're in a combat sport, you're a prize fighter. What my question is, there's tons of guys who are talented, there's tons of great fighters. What is the one thing when you're looking back at your career that separates a champion like yourself and the guy that no one ever hears of?
Yeah, well, I always say this, it's always preparation, and preparation isn't the 2 hours that you train in the gym every day. Everybody trains for 2 hours. Everybody tries to give their best for those, whatever those hours are. It's those other 22 hours a day that separate champions from people who want to be champions. It's what time you go to bed. It's what you eat. It's your mental preparation. It's being ready to go through what you need to go through. And even back in those early early days when, I was, in my 6th and 7th fight when I was going to fight 15 rounds. How can he fight 15 rounds? He's never done it. I've done that a million times in the gym. I, boxed 15 rounds with 5 different people. On 20 occasions prior to me fighting for my first world title. I was very, very mentally prepared, and if you've done something before, you can do it again. So I knew that I'd done it. I knew I'd done it with fresh opponents. I just knew I'd done what I had to do to stay on top. And like I said, I wasn't one of those guys who was world champion in 85 and not world champion in 86. Until the 90s, I was still undefeated. So I think that speaks about how hard I worked and how hard I trained and how I was dedicated to what I'd done.
Yeah, I actually had a quote from Johnny Lewis that said you used to do more in 1 hour than Costa Zoo could do in 2, mate. So I think that really speaks in regards to how hard you actually worked.
Yeah, well, I believe that towards the end of Costa's career, I think that because he was in that gym for so long and slugging away, not just changing and stop and starting. As you get older, you've got to freshen up. You've got to do things different. I believe against Ricky Hatton, that he looked older and stale. He should have been freshening up, but he still was trying to do the same work that he'd done 10 years earlier. Where that just had worked against him. But with me, like I said, I was one of those guys who wanted to give 120%. In the period that I was there, I was out there. I mean, we don't fight. We don't fight for 2.5 hours. So we don't need to train for 2.5 hours. I think that in this day and age, there's too many people that have spoiled our sport. I've never seen anybody pulling ropes as we fight in the ring, or using ropes in the ring, or doing those little steps that they do over these ladders. I mean, boxing is a simple sport. You get up, you do your road work in the morning, you do your stomach work, you bury that up, and then you do your boxing in the afternoon. And some of these guys are getting to the gym today in the afternoon, so worn out from what these idiot trainers are doing for them early in the morning that they can't perform in the boxing ring. And for me as a trainer, for me as an athlete, I want to perform in the boxing ring. That's my office. I don't care if I can run 10K in 20 minutes, or if I can pull that rope stronger than anybody else, or if I can tiptoe through the ladder bed. I want to be able to box. I'm a boxer.
Yeah, man. You were one of the greatest of all time, too. So, Jeff, another question I have for you. You come from a age where you guys did, it was relied on if you needed to go 15 rounds. My hometown produced a guy named Ray Boom Boom Mancini, and I was reading, I was Youngstown, Ohio. I was reading an article Ray gave one time, and he was talking about the most intimate moment of his life was when he was in that ring against an opponent, and he was talking about the only time he ever wanted to quit was in the 4th round against Dooku Kim. Were you ever in a fight where you thought to yourself, shit, man, I want to quit?
No, brother, no, that's never entered my mind. I was in a lot of tough fights and a lot of wars, and especially when you're using the tools you trade are both broken, and my hands were damaged in like 95% of my fights. You would get them thoughts. I never thought about quitting, but I thought about the pain I was in, and then I just said to myself, you've been through that pain again, and that pain will be gone. When you win in your hand, you raise the victory, how much sweeter it is. So I was, like I said, I was a pretty mentally tough guy, but like I said, in the first round against Collages, he hit me with a left uppercut, and wow, my legs, everything was gone from underneath me, and I'll never forget that in an interview, he said that after the first couple of rounds, that he hit me, thought he was going to knock me out. Then after about the 3rd or 4th round, he was thinking to himself, am I fighting a human being? That was his exact words were, am I fighting a human being? And this guy continually keep taking the punishment.
Wow. Jeff, who was
like I said, you go through those moments during your fight, but no, I've never ever thought about quitting.
All right, awesome.
Jeff, who was the biggest puncher that you faced, mate?
Well, without doubt, Vic Darchynian, I think, or even Samar Packer had a massive punch on him, but those Mexicans and Mario Martinez, I fought a lot of big punches, but at the end of the day, I think that Vic Darchynian would have been the best.
Okay, also, just given your size, because I know you had a go at playing rugby league and things, how hard was it to actually cut weight to make your fights? Because you did start at bantamweight.
Well, I look at these guys today, and I only wish that I had a 32 hour weigh-in. It's supposed to be 24. They let you weigh in at 6 o'clock because the main event's at 10 or 11. Well, give me 30 hours, I would have been 10 pounds heavier and stronger. But I was always strong. there were times, I'm not embarrassed to say that I'd be walking to the ring and we'd have to go back to the dressing room because I would soil my pants because I've eaten food and I'd rush back to the dressing room to clean up and stuff. And there were many times where I had terrible pains in the stomach from making weight on the same day. We weighed on the same day, so it was so much more difficult.
Jeff, so I talk a lot with my clients about the mental focus, the mental edge that it takes to be great at anything. When we're looking back at what happened and what transpired in the '84 Olympics, if you look at what the fighter said, and everybody says on paper, Jeff Fenech won that fight. Walking away with basically being robbed of a decision mentally, are you walking away knowing you won that fight, or is it something that because you got screwed over, you're thinking that it wasn't? What was that like in '84 for you?
Well, it was for me. It was to win a medal at the Olympics would have been amazing. Especially, I had 24 amateur fights. I boxed for a year and 3 quarters. It's never been heard of in any sport. You tell me another sport where an athlete, represents the guys who I fought between them had over 500 fights. Like 3 fights.
Weren't you the youngest and the fastest in that position? Correct me if I'm wrong. To be in that position in the Olympics too.
Well, when I fought for my world title, it was the shortest time. It was 196 days from amateur to professional. But yeah. I don't really know. I couldn't tell you if anybody ever went to the Olympics and was robbed of a medal with 24 amateur fights. I don't think anybody's ever done that. Yeah, but like I said,
go on.
For me, it was a testing period because I wanted, I'd love to win and to lose that way. After we'd won it, what it made me do, it made me disrespect not boxing so much, but it made me disrespect the people who were involved in Australian boxing. Nobody protested, nobody done nothing. They know that those Australians, they just lay down and if they're beaten, we had nobody supporting us. So that was very, very sad. I came home. I wanted to stay amateur, but I wanted my trainer to be my trainer. They said no, so I turned pro immediately. But I remember saying if they wouldn't let me win a gold medal, I'll win a world title. So I was a man of my word. I didn't say something that I couldn't do. I believed in myself.
Yeah, you manifested that. Visualization I think that holds a lot of people back, not believing in themselves. So Jeff, of all the fights that you've had, amateur, pro, whether you won or lost, what was the most memorable fight for you?
Well, they've all been memorable. I've had some great occasions, but when Azumah Nelson beat me in my second fight, I think I learnt more through that. I was so confident. I thought that I was just going to go out there and it'll be a continuation of round 13, 14, 15, and I'd win my 4th world title. But it wasn't to be. But for me, it was a huge learning experience. I did so many things different. The path that took me to being great. I left that path. I was more interested in being a businessman. I was earning millions of dollars instead of $100,000 a fight. It taught me a lot. I mean, I didn't enjoy that fight the most, but I certainly learned a lot from that fight. And for me to see Azumah Nelson, me beat him so convincingly in the first fight, for him to have the gumption, to have the balls, to have the tenacity to go back home and train and come and do what he done to me, it certainly taught me a lot about myself and about what a great champion Azumah Nelson was as well.
Yeah, in a way that's a great perspective, Jeff. Thank you for that, because the way you just put that's a compliment to you. How dare he go back? How dare he train? And the reason why...
he's the president of Ghana told him not to come back. Don't go back there.
Yeah.
You don't need to get embarrassed. You've been a great champion, but he said he's going to come back and beat me.
Yeah.
And like I said, while he was out there training, I'll never make the excuse. I trained. But I was, with 5 different girls a night. That was me. I lived the life of a rock star, of a superstar, and I wish I didn't do that, but I done that, and I paid the consequence. But like I said, I learned a lot from that. I know who I am. I learned who my friends were. I learned that when you are successful and you want to stay successful, you've got to keep doing what you've done to get there.
Yeah. Absolutely. Now, Jeff, over the years, you've trained the likes of Danny Green, Vic Darchynian, Daniel Geale, and now Lucas Brown. Who's the most talented fighter in your stable, mate?
Wow. To be honest, Vic Darchynian was one of those real special guys who he was so arrogant. To me, that's one of the reasons why he has lost some fights, because he just thinks that nobody can beat him. It's great to be confident, it's great to be arrogant, but when you're not nervous, that means you're not ready. And I kind of felt that Vic had that problem a lot of times. He just wasn't nervous. That means that you're not ready. Nervous to me, not scared, but being nervous means you ready. Danny Green was amazing hard worker, and I had one of the most enjoyable days of my life when he beat Eric Lucas in Canada there. But there were three guys who I enjoyed training the most throughout my whole career, without doubt. Nadal Hussain, Sain Hussain, and Maida Hand. And those three gave me so much enjoyment, and they gave me so much loyalty. And it was amazing. I had a gym full of amazing fighters like Daniel Geale. And I just know that I taught those guys so much, and they went on to do some great things. And I'm very, very proud of my association with all of them.
Yeah, most definitely, Jeff. Now, I also see that you're training young Brock Jarvis, mate. You just had a fight over in Thailand. Can you tell me a little bit about him and any of the other up-and-comers in your stable?
Yeah, well, the great thing about my association there is that his uncle was the policeman who helped redirect my life and my career in the youth club, and he gave me so much of his valuable time. Him and his mother, who was my dietitian, looked after me back in the year. Elizabeth Jarvis and Pat Jarvis, and his father, Dominic Jarvis, which is Pat's brother, came to the house and said, "I've got young Brock, could you have a little look at him, to tell him what you think?" And wow, as soon as I trained him, and obviously I seen the potential, and I just had that thing that I owed this family something, because without Pat and his mother, I'm sure I couldn't have done what I've done in my career. So it just started there. And last week in Bangkok at the Ambassador Hotel was mostly one of the greatest highlights of my boxing career, to see little Brock have his first pro fight against somebody who was much more experienced and be successful. It was a great occasion for me.
Jeff, are you an MMA fan?
Look, I do like it. I do like the competitive. What I love about the MMA is that I love Dana White. I just think that he's such a professional, he's such a smart man. And every time he turns the TV on, they're advertising their sport. I mean, and marketing is everything. And I mean, I look at boxing, and we just think that it's going to still do the same things that they've done every other decade. But no, we're losing ground. They're making ground. And look, the thing that I don't like about it is I don't like it when you're knocked out, like jump on the floor and then continually hit somebody. And look, Ronda Rousey, after she got kicked and knocked out, she was very, very lucky that Holly Holm's first miss with those first couple of clubs, those punches, whatever you want to call them, she could have been damaged more. And then, look, apart from that, I think it's a great sport where they put people into a competitive against each other. Everybody wants to fight each other. They all want to be the best. And there's one champion. I love that. Yeah,
you actually took the question right out of my mouth. So I was going to ask you about that controversy. So say you're a boxing coach and you have your guy, and you know your guy better than anyone else. And if your guy's taking damage, you're allowed to throw in that towel. In MMA and the UFC, and you're right, Dana's a great businessman, and he started as a boxing promoter, so he knows what he's doing. But in the UFC, if your guy's taking a beating, it's all on the ref. They're not allowed to throw that towel in. And what's your opinion on that? Do you feel that that rule needs to be changed?
Yeah, definitely so. Like I said, I've seen a couple of them while I was in Melbourne. There were a couple of times.
I was at that card too. Yeah,
there were a couple of fights that should have been stopped. But like I said, what these referees and other people don't know, I don't know if they're fought themselves in life, but we're only one punch away from disaster. These guys are dehydrating and putting weight back on and stuff like that. And I just think there's got to be a little bit more compassion shown. I mean, look, like I said, everybody loves violence. We love a good fight. But I mean, like I said, when Ronda was knocked out on the floor, the referee should have been there much quicker.
It was tough to watch.
Stop the fight.
Yeah. So Jeff, I was born in the 80s. Before I moved to Sydney, I lived in Vegas, and you said one of your guys was a special guy. I remember the first time I met Mike Tyson. I met him twice. All I did was shake his hand. And when you meet that gentleman, you look at him and you just understand. You get it. You know that guy at one time was the baddest dude on the planet. Could you share with us your favorite Tyson story?
Yeah, wow.
We need one. Give me a crazy one.
Well, I can give you. We were in the Grosvenor Hotel, the Grosvenor House Hotel in London. If the curtain would move, the people they would stay there all night just waiting for this guy to walk out. They'd chase the car down for miles down the road, touching the car. Like I said, I've been around Mike through some amazing things. Everybody wants to say they all want to hear the bad stories. Let me give you one beautiful. I'll give you two beautiful stories. I know we were on a plane one day. We were travelling first class to London, and sitting beside Mike, I fall asleep very quickly, and I wake up in 20-30 minutes because the plane had taken off. I slept before it. I woke up, I was sitting beside an old lady, and he walked to the back of the plane, put the old lady in first class. He sat down the back for the long haul. another day, those people who sell and beg for money in America, there are lots of that happening there. But I've seen him so many times just give a whole stack of $100 bills to these people and say, please, don't drive anybody mad tonight, champ. Don't worry about selling any. Don't ask anybody else for money. Take this money, go home and enjoy yourself. I said, I know some great, Mike's a great man. I just know he's got a heart of gold, and my association with him I've loved, and my opportunity to train him was maybe one of the greatest things that's ever happened to me.
That's awesome. Jeff, did you hear, I saw an interview he did, and he was talking about the difference between a great boxer, he was referencing Floyd Mayweather. He said, Floyd, the thing you don't get is that you're not loved by the people. If you're not loved by the people, you're nothing. I found that pretty profound.
Yeah, well, I mean, I kind of feel the same way. Like, I try to think about Anthony Mundine in a similar light. I mean, it's all right to have all the money in the world, but it's also great to walk down the street and, get a, hey, there's Jeff Fenech, or there's just... But with me and Floyd, I'm different. I just kind of think, look, I love Floyd for this. I love Floyd because he's never been false. He's got a lot of these people who want to pretend they're somebody they're not. Floyd, if it's black, it's black. If it's white, it's white. He'll call a spade a spade. He's not gonna say something so people love him. I love that about Floyd, but I also would love Floyd to, I don't know. He's out there, and good luck to him if that's what he wants to do. You can't change it, but me, that definitely wouldn't be me. I couldn't do that. I just, like I said, you're nobody without the fans. I don't care. You can have all the money in the world, but unless the fans are with you, and unless you give back to the fans, I don't believe you're anybody.
Yeah, I think you're right 100% there, Jeff. Now, I heard you mention Anthony Mundine. Now, him and Danny Green are proposing a rematch. What do you think of that, man?
Well, I think it would be the worst thing that happened in the history of boxing. If somebody can be 4 divisions lighter, a month or 4 months or 6 months, whenever the fight happens, and you have already let that happen and been just knocked out by a light middleweight, and not only knocked down 4 times. If you count the knockdowns in his last 3 fights, there's around 8 or 9 of them. And if you're going to let him fight a guy who walks around and fights as a cruiserweight and can knock cruiserweights out, there is something definitely wrong with the sport, and it needs drastic. It needs an overhaul. It needs people who know about the sport of boxing to sit there and say, listen, like I said, I'm going to give you the most simplest analogy. I hope you'll clap me after I say this, huh? So Anthony Mundine's going to go to the doctor. They're going to take his pulse. They're going to take his heart rate. They're going to look at him and say, you're fit, you can fight. They're going to do the same to Danny Green. All I want the doctor to do is give Anthony Mundine a slap in the face and see if he can stand up after he gets slapped in the face. If he can take that, then let him fight.
Yeah, I think you're right, Jeff.
I agree with you.
I've been there, but I've been it hurts me every time now in the boxing ring. Anthony cannot take one punch from Danny Green if it lands clean. Not one.
Yeah, I think there's something I love boxing, the sweet science. There needs to be something to keep the integrity of the sport. So I know what you know
what that needs? You know what it needs? It needs people who know about the sport. If you want to keep integrity in something, listen, hey, put Roberto Duran, put Ray Leonard, put them guys on the book. Hey, and they'll be like, wow, well, they're not going to make a mistake. They've been punched in the face many times. They've been robbed. They've been cheated. They know how their lives have changed. I've been robbed. I was never the same after Azumah Nelson in Las Vegas. I can't tell you why, but I was never the same. I won my 4th world title fair and square. These judges who were incompetent or want to do the right thing for the big promoter Don King, they robbed me of an amazing opportunity to be the first boxer in the history to win 4 world titles undefeated. That was Jeff Fenech, nobody else. That wasn't Floyd, that was Jeff Fenech. I'd done that, but they robbed me of that opportunity. Those people shouldn't be allowed. Listen, if you can't do your job, champ, you don't work. If you can't carry plates, if you can't serve a beer in the restaurant, you get a sack. If you make a mistake as a judge or referee, you referee next week. You judge next week. You're a judge every week.
Yeah, Jeff.
We need some rules. We need some people who have gotten enough balls to tell these guys they can't do the job properly. We'll get somebody who can.
Accountability is a beautiful thing, but unfortunately, it's a rare thing. The one thing I can say about you, you did your job when you were in that ring, so right on.
Well, I tried to, and like I said, I've made mistakes in my life, and I've always put my hand up. I'm the first to admit it. Like I said, I'm the first to admit that Azumah Nelson done an amazing job coming back to beat Jeff Fenech, and like I said, I've never made excuses. He beat me in the boxing ring, and that's where the contest was. So I'm more than happy with what I've done.
Yeah. Jeff, I just want to end on a positive. You're currently training heavyweight contender Lucas Brown. He's fighting for the WBA Heavyweight Championship in the Russian Republic of Chechnya. Now, Lucas has the opportunity to become the first Australian ever heavyweight champ. How's preparation, mate, and what's your expectations?
Let me correct you. Lucas is no longer with me.
Oh, he's no longer with you.
No, he's training with like Nigel Benn and somebody else at the moment. But we separated maybe a month and a half or so ago, something like that, a couple of months ago. But look, to be honest, no disrespect to Lucas, but Lucas sparred some of the boys up at the gym, sparred Jai Offatea, sparred Bowie Tupu and some other guys, and if what he showed me sparring, he needs more than Nigel Benn in his corner. He needs a bazooka. He needs a tank or something to help him. Because I wish him luck. I'd love him to be the first Australian to win. I'd love him to prove me wrong. So hopefully, if he hears this will motivate him to work even harder. But what he gave me in the gym for a year was something that that wasn't good enough to be the heavyweight champion of the world. Wasn't good enough to be in the ring with it to fight for the heavyweight title. So hopefully he'll get that message and go out and work his backside off and prove me wrong.
All right, Jeff. So a lot of our listeners, maybe they've never talked or met a champion before. Could you leave us with some inspirations, maybe some advice, maybe some positive words for that guy inkling with the fact that maybe he should turn his life around, maybe he should go after his dreams and his goals? What would you say to that?
Yeah, definitely so. And believe in yourself. And I tell the one message I give to everybody: you are who you mix with. If you're going to mix with guys who drink every day and do drugs, whether you do them or not, you're going to be branded that kind of person. As a parent, I try to make sure I know what my kids are doing. I don't let them tell me where they're going. I want to make sure that I know what they're doing, and I try to make sure that I check. So I just want people to know that if you want to do something in life, impossible is just a word. Nothing's impossible. You work hard enough, because even if you don't succeed and you work hard enough, the gratitude, the greatness that you get just from trying and knowing you tried your best gives you enough satisfaction. That's success to me. So as long as you work hard for something, even if you don't succeed and you don't get that success, I believe that you deserve a pat on the back. So just go out and give life your best. And we're all great at something. There's something there for all of us. And you mightn't find it in the boxing ring, but you might just find it being a great parent or being a great friend. So being great at anything is good enough for me. So go out, enjoy your life, work hard and be positive, and you will all succeed.
That's some awesome words there, Jeff. Now, you're one of my heroes growing up, so thank you so much for your time today. I know when I told Johnny that you were coming on, he was very, very excited as well, man.
Yeah, Jeff, thank you for your time. I know you're a busy dude, and we might just pop in your gym and say hello.
It'll be a pleasure, guys, anytime. Welcome. Thank
Awesome,
you very
man.
much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks.
So what an awesome guy Fenech was. I read about and watched that dude when I was a kid. I know he was one of your idols.
Yeah.
So piggybacking off of what Jeff just said, it's very important to be gracious. He was a humble guy. With the holidays here, it just has me thinking about all the things I'm, just grateful for. My friends, my family, my loved ones, my health, number one importance, and just the opportunity that we get to do this whenever we want. We get to make choices and have nobody govern over us. So it's something that, in hindsight, I'm very aware of, and I feel really fortunate to have the opportunity to even be doing this right now.
Yeah, I think so as well. I think Jeff touched on it really well. Like, even though him and Anthony Mundine had got a bit of beef, he was still pretty worried for his health and well-being as well. Like, he doesn't really have to go out there and say that sort of thing. So it was good to see him touch upon that. But same thing, I really like the fact that he brought up things like hard work and and the same thing, even just about training, where he mentioned about, some boxers training 10 hours a day. I really like the perspective of the fact that he realises, like a lot of people are still training in the old age, where you just do road work, you just come in, do your boxing training, and you do that for 10 hours a day. You don't have to do that.
Yeah, was he, so correct me if I'm wrong, was he, I think he was supporting the old school style.
Yeah, he was,
just
the time sort of differences where they don't have to train for 10 hours anymore.
Yeah, basically these guys are killing themselves. I think that was, the fitness industry is forever evolving and forever changing, so you get a lot of these guys now, 15 years ago, 10 years ago, they wouldn't have had a strength and conditioning coach. Their boxing coach was everything. They did their weights, they did their road work, they did their pads. That's who you have. You didn't have a conditioned team around you. In a way, I see the positive and negative for both sides. I'm more of an old school guy. I like the idea, I always think of Mickey in the Rocky movies, Mick and Rock, and he did everything. He did the shit talking, the motivating, all the hard work, and I think that bond that's built between the fighter and coach, when it's that intimate, I think that bond is necessary for a person to believe in themselves to become a champion.
Yeah, it was good to see him still have some good things to say about Vic Darchynian,
the
Hussein boys, Danny Green, like that, like you just spoke about, the bond is still obviously still there, despite them going in separate ways.
Fenech was very diplomatic. I can't speak on how much I enjoyed hearing him actually speak on his opinion and views, especially with just what's going on. He said just 5-6 weeks ago, we hit our source up, our Sydney boxing source, and we didn't get that news that, the heavyweight and him had split up right before this fight. And he still had nothing bad to say. He just gave him some positive feedback.
Yeah, exactly right. But for me, growing up, he was one of my idols. My uncles used to always speak about him and things like that. So it was great to actually have that perspective today. But in saying that, I reached out to Jeff, and Jeff was kind enough to say he wanted to come on.
What does that tell you about, though, of the things that the power that we have as people?
Yeah.
In terms of opportunity.
I think it shows, maybe, hopefully everyone listening out there, that if you respect someone, don't be scared to reach out to them and speak to them. I learned more from that half an hour than I've learned from a lot of people my whole life.
I like the idea, though, that we basically do the good old-fashioned knocking on doors. I think that is an important issue as well. If you want something, don't be afraid and don't listen to people. Oh, they'll never call. You'll never get that job. They'll never offer it to you. How will you know? You will never know if you don't give it a go.
If I don't ask Jeff, how does Jeff know that I want to have him on my show?
Exactly, and that's just one instance. If you never apply, you being our example, if you want that job of your dreams or that car of your dreams or even the girl of your dreams, and you never go after it, how will you ever know?
Yeah, exactly.
How will you ever be fulfilled?
I'd rather have them know and know that I actually went after it than not even know at all.
Then those regrets.
Exactly.
Those regrets mount because you wake up. The worst thing that could happen when you're pursuing your dreams is that you hit a roadblock, but you're pursuing them. You're moving forward. And the person that you're becoming, that you're evolving in, is way more important than that no. Or that not no. Because if you're just sitting back and you're just thinking, I could have been this, I'm living in the past, I used to be good at that, and now that's all I ever was, and never looking ahead, never looking for a future, never paving the groundwork for some evolution, it's going to be really hard for you to find your fulfillment.
Absolutely. Now, guys and girls listening to this, like, you're listening to both of us. Now, what are you guys going to do about it? That's what we want you to. We want you to take some action.
Action. I mean, 2016 is approaching us. I remember when it was 1990. I'm not giving my age away here, but the point is, time is flying. We're not in control of that. No one is permanent. All we have is right now. All we have is tomorrow. What are you going to do? What are the actions you're going to take for this next year to be the best year of your life?
Yeah, I think it's this perfect time to actually think about it. You're going to be around your loved ones.
Yeah.
It's a perfect time to get some perspective. And I wrote an article this week about not waiting for January 1 to make a decision about what you want to do in 2016.
I read that. It was actually, me reading your article reminded me of a little piece Goodman wrote when he was talking about, now it wasn't as deep and heartfelt with the intent that you had written yours with, but it had the same idea and heartbeat. And all he said was, don't worry about what you're eating between Christmas and New Year's. You need to worry about what you're eating between New Year's and Christmas.
Yeah.
I like that.
I like that quote.
Yeah, it's easy.
Yeah. All right, Johnny, well, we've got Christmas coming up. I want to wish you a Merry Christmas for you and your family, man. So
thank you.
I think
you as well.
Yeah.
I'll give you a hug when we're off air.
I hope so. But guys, you don't want to miss the coming up episodes. If you haven't seen Dane's one, I beg you to go back and listen to Dane's one. You're going to be probably putting on Jeff's one more than once. Like, let's be honest. When you hear, you've already heard what he's just had to say.
Yeah, Jeff's a beast.
Inspiring man. Now, we've got John Wayne Parr. We've got...
Do you know, without... John Wayne Parr, one of the baddest dudes on the planet, 10-time world Muay Thai champion.
He's coming on in the next few weeks. We've got Alex Chambers,
Astro
UFC,
girl.
first Australian girl to ever make the UFC.
That's Guinness Book of World Records stuff. I mean, because when you're looking in the history books, the thing that we all want to do in life is leave an impact. We just want to make a mark. We want to make a difference. And the reason why I'm really excited to interview Alex and get to talk to her, because no one will ever be able to take away the fact that she is a pioneer of women's MMA in Australia.
Absolutely. Then we've got Billy the Kid Dib.
Billy the Kid Dib.
He's fighting in January, former world featherweight champion, IBF featherweight champion. So that's going to be an awesome one. We've also got John Goodman. John Goodman, a huge name in
the fitness industry. Yeah, check out his website, PTDC, Personal Training Development Center, among other things. He's just a good guy to have on. He's like a yoga of entrepreneurialism and fitness.
And we've also got Danny Martinez of the UFC, and he does a lot of good work with the Gremlin kids.
Yeah, we're looking forward to talking about his charities, getting Danny on, see what it's like to pick up his first win. He just picked that up in Melbourne. So we have an exciting 2016 coming up. We're really stoked for it, and we appreciate all the support.
Absolutely, guys. But really, if we're going to keep getting these awesome guests for you, we need those iTunes ratings. So if you can just go on, it's going to take you about 30 seconds. Log on to iTunes, leave a little review for us. 5 stars would be awesome. Just so we can keep growing and growing this, because we want to bring it every single week for you guys and just bring on those guests that you guys want. And
keep sending those emails too. You can catch me at johnny@therealfitcoach.com for all my followers, listeners. My Instagram, _fitcoach. Send me a D message if you want to, us to chat about anything specific, or if you're interested in being a guest on the Vision Board podcast.
Most definitely. And you can check me out at www.tristancannellfitness.com. There's a few ebooks on there that you can download for free and also get on my newsletter. Also, in 2016, we're going to continue the question and answers. So send your questions through to the Vision Board podcast at gmail.com. We'll always put those on for you. Now, before we go, I just want to shout out to our awesome sponsors again.
The Organic Trainer, www.theorganictrainer.com. Guys, if you haven't visited this website yet, please do. If you're looking for an awesome way to get off of the unnatural supplements, it's just a tea company using all natural, Australia-owned ingredients. They have a couple exercise teas, caffeinated with green tea. They have a sleep tea, which is awesome for recovery. It's a calm sleep tea with chamomile. When you're proceeding to the checkout, put in code word The Fit Coach to receive 10% off of all of your purchases. Our second sponsor is Jack Rabbit Slim's Barbershop, located in Potts Point, King's Cross, Sydney, Australia. It's the best. I won't go anywhere else. I tell Dre over there he's the best at what he does. He's an artist. He creates. If you want to leave a place feeling great about yourself, stop by Jack Rabbit Slim's Barbershop.
Awesome, guys. Well, Merry Christmas to everyone, and we'll speak to you before 2016 comes in.
Rock and roll.
Peace.
The Vision Board Podcast, hosted by Johnny Stofko and Tristan Cannell.